didn't see it. I did see it.
So, for those of you who are part of the management oversight interest, this place has a lot of invasive plants, right? And is that like a big focus of management, or do you guys, or is it just, does Audubon say we'll do the best we can, and
The little I know about Audubon is they do some work with volunteers,
I
but
can
it's
see
not
it.
a massive program.
Yeah, because it's not bad. I mean, like, I love every plant, but I love some more than others.
Right.
And I derive pleasure out of them to a point, and I'm going to probably offend you right off the bat, but being in Providence, have a mayoral election, and there's one candidate who likes to be loved, but I believe, having worked with him on and off when he was mayor before, behind the scenes, he, like a bittersweet, will strangle you, and
or burn you with a cigarette butt.
Fair enough. So there's that sort of tension here. Like when I was here the other day, the second trip, I was like, it's so beautiful, but you do feel bad for some of these native species that are just, so much of this is going on. These bittersweet, especially strangling stuff, and there's a lot of other invasive stuff in here, but. Otherwise, obviously it's just spectacular. It's also what I call the I want it all and I want it now place, this place, because everything is in here. You want a field? Go in the field. You want a forest? Go in the forest. You want to go to the salt marsh? Go in the salt marsh. You want to stick your feet in the river? Go stick your feet in the river, So this is a spectacular place. So for those of you who are involved, it is delightful. Wow. But don't tell the other people that I might give a walk to, like in South County or something, because I just said the same stuff that I said to Cananchett Farm 6 months.
Right.
That's not true. And you can ask me questions. So I'm basically going left. The entire walk is left. These things turned yellow. So it's quite beautiful color. And obviously, hickory is a native species, but not as common for those of us who used to. I lived in Indiana and Ohio. Hickories are one of the main trees, and I don't know how all of this bitternut hickory got here, but it has one of the most bizarrest buds, this yellowy scaled thing. Now, what you have to understand about this place too is if you start touching things, you got to know what you're touching. Don't touch. The reason is this. What else bud looks like this? Do you guys know?
Poison ivy?
Yeah. Poison ivy's bud is sort of a tan. I don't know what the color is exactly, but it's awful close looking, and we'll look at one, but we won't touch it. And I didn't see any hickory, the whole walk, I didn't see any hickory fruit, which is really not. So here's poison ivy here.
Leaves of free.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, but then, you can kind of mix it up with I think it's a blackberry. You can just get like, is that poison ivy? But I don't think this has big enough to have a bud. Some of the bigger ones, we'll see a bud. Yeah, there's a teeny bud down there, but I don't like to stick my fingers too far.
So this is native?
Yeah, and there's a whole hedgerow of it. And yet it's in parts being strangled by our, this thing. This is Asiatic bittersweet, the incredibly, and this is all poison ivy, as you know. So this is really what it does. It just winds itself up, it hangs down. It drops its leaves. It leaves these beautiful fruit that's split open. They become red. The inside is they're not fruit exactly. I read they're capsules. And, I live near Blackstone Park in Providence. This stuff is what volunteers live year-round, taking off, and it comes back, and they take it off, and it comes back. I don't know what it is about some of these invasives, but they're super-powered. They're like on steroids. So they don't have local enemies, or birds don't eat them. I don't know what exactly happens, or bugs don't kill them. They just, bam! And of course, I wrote in my article today, it depends. This place is so sun dependent, it's unbelievable. You go in the shade, there's not that much going on in there, which is okay. And you can see where there are old fields by the species that are in there, and then you come out along, and it's very lush. And you can get really specific. You could start. The thing about Tweed, any of these places, is that you could start. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if there's an entomologist in the group, or I don't know. Is this fungus? Is it bugs? Is it spores? But
It's alive.
yeah, I mean, when I was here the other day, every time I come here, I just have to say to myself, keep going, keep moving. Because, you know, you got things to do like lunch and pick up your kid from school who's standing on the street corner in Providence saying, Dad, where are you? In Providence, there's Virginia creeper. It has these blueberries, and they're just gone in August. They show up, they're gone. And I figure birds just gobble them up. I mean, I see birds gobble them up.
I've never seen them with berries.
Yeah, they're beautiful, beautiful with berries. You can look up, Google it. It's like Google fall Virginia creeper berries, and then you'll find these pictures. And then you have more attention. This is multiflora rose, which is non-native, which colonizes fields, has fruits that birds eat, and crap.
It's also invasive.
Yeah, major invasive material here. And then you have this, which is not really native, but shows up all over. This black locust, which is a field tree. It has spectacular. Was anyone here in the spring? This had spectacular, a couple of these anyway, plumes of white, fragrant flowers. Oh my God. It was like jasmine. It's like remarkable fragrance. They're like pea flowers, but in a group, and just a knock your socks off fragrance. So there's a whole mishmash, as they say here. And it just depends where you are in Cruzet, obviously, because it's very fertile. And then you have sun, you have shade. There was a forest, there's not a forest. You get close to the ocean, and basically it was infertile silt. It had nothing in it. That had no clay, it had no nutrients, and it had an extraordinarily high lead count. And you come here, and you know, I mean, you could probably grow some really nice crops here. Are any of you farming?
It used to be a farm.
This was a farm, yeah. You could just tell.
Look at the bittersweet on that tree all the way to the
Yeah, I was kind of stopping here to point that out, but yeah, right, exactly. Look at that. It's just what it does. I mean, it could be a whole. I see it when I used to be a land manager for the New York City Parks Department, and it would actually topple trees. Every once in a while, like along the Sawmill River Parkway in Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx, for example, a tree would fall over completely taken down pretty much by the Asiatic bittersweet. And then you have these junipers and red cedar that pop out. Obviously, that's a big part of this place. They're definitely a field kind of open conifer with. Oh, there's a chip. So I bird by ear. And that's the chip of a yellow rump warbler, which I write about. There it goes. See the butterbutt? If you look carefully, you'll see its yellow butt. I love to say that. Very urban. Yellow butt. Because I am urban. They're primarily immatures. They come by the hundreds and thousands through Rhode Island. It's above it's moving up. It's about right. Oh, it's over the shed. Giving me probably a better view over here. Yeah.
Trying to go behind them.
Yeah, and they have some yellow on the chest, some black streaks. I've written about this before. These things breed. I once found a nest when I was in Newfoundland. And, you know, they're a connection to something really...
Was that it that just flew away?
That might be it. I'm not sure. So, you know, they're a connection to something much greater than us. No offense, but, you know, this thing breeds... They all breed north, way north. And then they all migrate south. And it's just an amazing phenomenon. And this place is just a perfect birding spot. And it's great in the spring, it's great in the fall. It has some interesting summer breeding birds. It's really easy when you come out here 2 or 3 times from Providence to not want to go back. You know? I can see why people live out here. I mean, this is exactly what I thought when I was coming in this morning. I said, oh, your feet's going to get wet. There's a cardinal chip. It's just a hard time of year to bird because, you know, some of them sometimes, like there's one called staghorn, which has, the branches break out in a fuzz. This is not staghorn because I don't see the fuzz, but it is some sort of sumac. These berries are also edible, you know, and most of them, these look kind of droopy.
Yeah.
Most of the time I see them erect and redder, and they're bitter, sort of lemony if you suck on them. And I know people who will steep them. And I think Native Americans had a whole bunch of use for it. But this is also this is where I just don't have the expertise. I used to know what this was.
I always thought they were poison.
Well, there is a poison sumac, but most of them are not poisonous. Honestly, I don't even know if I've ever run into poison sumac. It has a bad reputation. It sounds bad. Poison anything sounds bad. Poison goldenrod, if we made that name up, doesn't sound so good. But there's a whole bunch of species that are pretty much open sun, shrub, small tree that look like this. This has very narrow leaves.
It depends on how many, how many of these leaves stick off. If it's 11 or 9 or something.
Excellent.
11 or 7.
Do you know which one this is?
No, I don't.
No, yeah,
I
that
wish
always
you,
makes a difference
somebody
for,
knew, yeah.
when you have a book, a guide. Yeah. So this is pretty interesting to watch the clouds. So that's, I would imagine if we took out a compass, that would be coming from the southwest. I was a little worried. I did mention the 2 vultures in my story. I think they came low to look at me when I was laying down in the field. And I said, it's not bad at the end, but the end isn't here yet. So they looked at me, and I'm looking up at them, and I could see their bald head, and they're so ugly. They're delightful, but I was like, okay, whoa. I need a land manager to tell me what's going on with this thing. I believe it was once used as a latex substitute, but it didn't work. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, it is. You could see, if you want to pass it around, some of the goo coming out of it. So, they're fighting. The natives are fighting, and you have beautiful poison ivy. I always like to know which preserve has the most beautiful poison ivy. It should be a contest. Ours is more beautiful. And it's a very valuable plant. I think it is. Anyway, the berries are A1, top of the list wildlife food in the fall for migrating birds, I mean, unfortunately, it does strangle some other plants. It's not like if you turn around here, there's one to look at that. This is Bittersweet Island. It contained it. We've contained it to an island, and it'll grow on anything. I don't even know if that lamp up there by the fire station probably grows up on that, and they pull it down. So here in my story, I wrote about knapweed. This is knapweed. I don't think it's native. I think it's an invasive as well. It's pretty. It's one of the last things to flower. Sometimes in Rhode Island, I'll see it in really low spots in November, still in flower. And the last bee is hanging on to it. And I'm thinking, guys, it's not good. It's not good, So I just wanted to point it out. One of the things I like about Tussit is that it has this sort of frame. There's the low pink stuff, and then there's the middle goldenrod. The goldenrod was spectacular earlier this season. And I don't know if you noticed it, but I would walk through here and I would smell the goldenrod earlier in the season. Some of it's fragrant. Now it's pretty much gone. More of the same. Here's another sumac. So you have a whole collection here of non-native things. This is the multiflora rose, the bittersweet. But you also, I saw some greenbrier, that'll come up. That's native, but that's wicked. It'll rip your clothing off.
Is that what they call bullbriar?
That could be. I don't know bullbriar.
Bullbriar, that and the bittersweet are the ones that take over.
Mm-hmm. We are in Providence, there's no greenbrier, but if you get near the coast.
Yeah.
So here's more of that bitternut hickory. Bitternut hickory. I got not bittersweet, bitternut hickory. And I love the bud. There's these 2 big scales.
Here's a fruit.
Oh, a fruit. Excellent. Yay.
Success.
Yeah, I think that it's earned its name. That even the Native Americans had a hard time figuring out how to boil it or cook it so it was edible. I hear it takes a lot of work to try and eat one of those things. Not if you're a squirrel, apparently.
Where is the fruit? Right here.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for pointing. It's still hanging in there.
So it has a shell on it?
Yeah. All the trees have shells.
To this side.
And sometimes the shells are broken up into sort of panels. Like you could see 2 or 4.
Is that what theirs was?
I think, oh yeah. Yeah. Hickory nuts are. So there's all sorts of hickories. There's shagbark, mockernut, shagbark, mockernut, pig nut. bitter nut. But Rhode Island doesn't have a lot of hickories in my context compared to where I've been in the past. That hasn't.
Looks like there's a nest
up
up
there.
there.
Yeah, I think that's a squirrel. I don't know what that is up there.
And bittersweet vine, when you pull it out of the ground, the roots are always orange.
Oh.
So if you go in your garden, you pull something out and it has an orange root, you pull one.
I think it's, I don't know if it's pin cherry or black cherry, but it's cherry. And then
Choke cherry.
Choke cherry. And the fruit's very bitter. It's very cyanide-like. This is an oak of some sort trying to find its way in. When you stop for a moment and I stop talking, you hear some of the sounds. I mean, this is a good cricket spot. Real good.
And I just saw a wild squirrel.
A squirrel? All right.
Aren't they all wild?
Just wanted to make sure, see if anybody was there.
But you can see the difference between species here. You got roundish. Anything with a point is under the red oak family. So these are I would believe a red oak. And then you can see they're very glossy. Yeah. Last week, so this was still yellow last week. This made a really nice contrast because this was all green. So now it's starting to go. And then you have what I believe is an eastern red cedar trying to hang in there, trying to pop in. But you got to be careful. I'm not careful. Like, I'll do this, and then, like, here's our beautiful friend, poison ivy. And you just don't know where it's where it's showing itself.
Where it's been.
Where it's been. Nice. This is edible, by the way.
The autumn olive?
Yeah.
The berries?
Yeah. They don't taste good, but I don't even want to eat one, but they're edible. They're not. But it's another invasive. It's sort of a songbird feeding plant along the coast, but it causes great heartache to anyone who manages land. Thanks for pointing it out. But the other day when I was here, when I was laying in the field, I thought it was just really cool. When the leaves would blow, and they'd be like sort of swirling around me. It reminded me of like when they fall on a stream and float away. But it does sound like, I should say, finish that sentence with like, it was really cool, man. These are actually called, there's a mix here. You have a couple of Norway maples that look exactly bark-like. You have to be careful. This is a Norway maple, right? This tree on my right. This tree is a bitternut hickory. But if you're a casual observer, you'd be like, they look pretty close bark-wise. This is a bitternut hickory when it gets big. So, and then, the other thing about tweeset is it would be uncommon if anywhere in Rhode Island you were walking and you did not find a stone wall, right? Well, the first time I remember coming here a few years ago, I was like, there better be a stone wall. But can you imagine the person who schlepped these rocks out of the ground, wherever they got them from? And then the other thing is, it's green in here. It's not green out there. I don't really understand the dynamic, but it's green in here. And you can see here's poison ivy on the left, spindly and green. I think most of it has to do with sun. Probably breeds in here. And then there are just little things. These are I don't know what these things are. I think they came out of someone's yard and found their way in here. But I just like the little things, like, I don't want to touch the leaf, but what's on the ground. But you see this really nice lichen, growing on the rock. I'm a lichen. I'm not there. You don't see me. But I am there. This is kind of cool. A little soft. Or maybe I'll touch a leaf. But
Is that slow growing stuff? Lichens? Does it grow really slowly?
yeah. So that choo-choo-choo is really diagnostic. That's a red-bellied. And really, this spot, that bird has been here, whether I've been here in spring, summer, or fall, so they must breed in here somewhere. Change. It gets a little swampier. And you have this is red maple. This is This is the only one of these that I could find here. And so I probably am a bad guy for about what I'm about to do. But this, sorry to do that to you. I think, I could be wrong. In that case, we'll just move on. Yeah. Smell that. This is one of my favorite things. You stick your finger up to someone and say, smell that. And they're like, smell that?
Yes.
This is spice bush. Oh. So it's a native, and it was actually one of the first things the colonists thought about sending back, because the berries, you can grind them up and use them as spice, and you know, spice is so important. So we have birds coming up. That's a titmouse. If you can hear it, it's kind of high. That's a Carolina wren. The titmouse is to our left. It's kind of like a squeeze toy. These turn red. Well, sometimes they're yellow or orange, but and you'll start to see the floor littered. Again, I don't know why there's not a lot of color in the woods, but there's not a lot of color. Wow, it looks like multiflora rose. Real hardy multiflora rose. This is a heck of a bunch of thorns. Yeah, you can start seeing them, you know. That's a little, not the greatest example, but man, they're mushroom. And I'm talking Providence, you know, right around where I work. All over the place.
A snake?
Did you say a snake?
Oh, we have a snake sighting. Like a garter snake?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a little garter snake.
Cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, those are going to go inside soon and not come
Wow,
out.
really? That was good. That was a really good sighting. He's totally...
This is a black blocky bark. This is poison ivy on the black. Yeah, the other day I almost went like, hello, and I was like, ah. And then you have an oak, a couple of oaks here. So again, the species changed a little bit, and you can tell. So you walked through here 40 years ago. It was all brambles. So, but there were a lot. There must have been more of an open field aspect to this. Yes.
It was woods, but the brambles were like what you imagine was Sleeping Beauty. It was so thick.
Wow. All right. Because I see some of these spindly cedars. And you know, it usually tells me that once upon a time, well, most things were fields around here anyway.
Pudding stone.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the name
So
of
my
my
sense
name
was,
of
I
my
think it
cottage.
actually might have been nature or whatever, a higher power. The interesting thing too, last week, so this tree is yet another tree, and you can see it has a sort of a gray straight thing going. This is tupelo, or black gum. The beautiful, beautiful leaves on this thing a few days ago, and I had a feeling they would all fall off by the time we got here, because of the time of year. And hopefully we'll see a couple that don't have fallen off leaves. It's a beautiful, beautiful tree. It has fruit on it too. It's usually high up in August and September, which is edible. Birds take it quick. I ate probably 50 or so of their fruit this fall. Really good. But you can look at the pattern of it. Very different. I don't know that bird. Someone might know. It's quite noisy. Look at the pattern of the twigs. This thing is straight, and then it has these little peg-like twigs. Very unusual shape. This is a great rock. I know. That's a really good. Yeah. I don't know if that's lichen or what.
I guess it is lichen.
Then I think this might be native viburnum, a shrub. I'm not really sure, but it starts to show up and then it disappears. Again, you have the spindly cedar that once had
There's a woodpecker right there. It's see him on the tree.
There's some blue-green briarberry here. That's also wildlife fruit.
Yeah, you know, somebody like that.
Yeah. That's a good sighting. And then you see it here, sort of taking the place. This is a tupelo. You could just tell by the twigs, the stout twigs. Here's poison ivy's replacement for the moment, which is greenbrier. I mean,
Oh, yeah, that's different.
yeah, it got me. Here. So we go to field 2. The goldenrod has been spectacular here. This just fantastic goldenrod, and very little of it's left. But when you find it, you usually find the bugs on it. Yeah, I don't know if this is the stick. You're right.
Oh.
There are burrs. This is not a burr, but
Not-
you're right. There are burrs. Yeah, I got a dog, Woody the Shih Tzu, who I usually send forward to find out what's ahead. Maybe he doesn't come back. But here you see what I mean with the leaves. Look at the way they spin. So we should all just lay down and look up. Yeah, this is very pretty. I would imagine. I'm going to try just something here. Blue up there.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure what that is, but that's quite blue. Wow. That's interesting that they're just there in blue. I don't know what that is. But then you have a cedar, or I think it's cedar or juniper. And it's obviously playing host, unfortunately, to all sorts of viney things. Sort of orange look, so we haven't really seen that before. And that's sassafras. So I think we get to touch some sassafras coming up. Then you have this. So you have sassafras as native. So something to me happens here. Either the land managers have cleared out the crap. No offense. You got this sort of juniper, cedar thing going. You got goldenrod. All of a sudden it's just natives. Sassafras. And you have bayberry here. This is bayberry. You know, the shrub has little berries on it. I don't see it, but we should look for the berries that, you know, they make candles
some
out of
candles.
birds. It's at the top of the list with poison ivy for preferred bird food in migration.
You know, the sassafras leaves is what you make fili from, for fili gumbo.
Huh.
You take the leaves and you dry them out. And this guy in Louisiana taught me. So I got a big sassafras tree and I make my own fili.
Yeah.
But you take it and you hang it and dry it out. And then you grind it with mortar and pestle. That's the old style. And this guy was like 80-something years old. He's dead now. And you grind it all up and you make fili, which is this incredible spice. So whenever you have gumbo, and you only put it in after you put your gumbo in the bowl because it makes the meat stringy. So
Really?
you use fili after in a bowl, but it makes this. I've got this.
So you don't cook
huge,
it?
No.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh,
cook it.
okay, yeah.
But I've got this huge thing. It's this incredible spice that's just like so pungent and so good.
Yeah.
I make it out of the leaves of the sassafras tree.
So you just it'd be the green leaves in the
Take the
green
green leaves.
season and dry them out.
Dry them out. I hang them from my clothesline
Yeah.
and let them dry out. And then I take them and just
Oh,
grind
that's
it up
so
with
cool.
mortars and pestle. And so good. And it's like this green, bright green sort of herb.
It stays green when it's dry?
Yeah.
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 That's a really pretty spot. This is just a lovely spot. This is just such a great spot, and I love the microclimates of Tweesit. It really is different feel in different parts of the spot. Different parts of the 66 acres. Some spots are cooler. You get, obviously you get closer to the water, like we're going to get now. You get a little breeze. Smells different. Here it's just warm and very fertile field. There's a chickadee. Oh, see, yeah. By the way, if you ask me a question, I'm going to say yeah, and you don't even know the answer. Typically, the first tree to go, or one of the first to go, is cottonwood, which is an open field, wet, spotty, not always wet, but often wet, tree. And you can look at the twigs on that cottonwood, and you just know from here it's cottonwood. Oh, I know. You look at it; it's very thick. They usually have a very pointy, sticky bud, and then you look down, or at least it's a relative of cottonwood, and they have, I think it is cottonwood. So they have not only this triangular leaf, somewhat colorful, but they're kind of flat bottom when they connect, and I think that helps them do this. And here's more knapweed. I know there's more flowers here earlier in the year, but they're all gone now. That's lovely. Where do you see more flowers?
No, there's ferns.
Oh, ferns.
Oh, here's flowers.
So when I first started leading walks in the late 70s in New York City, where I'm from, I actually heard someone say, "That's a foin?" And a foin? And you just don't hear that accent anymore.
I know.
Yes, it is. It is a foin.
Lived in Brooklyn for about 30 years.
Oh, the little stuff? It's bayberry. Sorry, yeah. It's barberry. It's not native. It's an invasive field plant. People grow it in their yard. I don't know who eats the berries. It's very full of prickles under those green leaves. Barberry, B-A-R. It's a big pest to the west of us.
Is that one of the ones that they say is invasive? Does it turn purple in the fall out in the open?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mean to disparage it. I wouldn't be leading a walk if I didn't think this place was fantastic. I do not know what the fern is, but it's spectacular. See, there's a lot of stuff in here I miss wandering around. More bayberry.
Holly.
Oh, cool! Sure enough. So you got these other kinds of ferns. You have at least 2 or 3 types here. Jerry points out a holly.
Oh, cool.
And there are Native American hollies that you pop up. I just think it's an incredibly cool native plant. And this looks exactly like one. I missed this the other day. I was like daydreaming when I walked through here. And you could feel the ow.
Yeah.
All
Give him another tissue.
Listen, take me to what's the nearest hospital after this walk? But then you get one of your first shots of the berries. They're good eating. That's good eating if you're a songbird. And then you could see this had to have been open. Cedars are not going to germinate except in the sun. And they're sort of, what happens when they get shaded is they go spindly and then they die. And that's what's happening. And then you have this thing.
I think that might be a blueberry.
Yeah, it has that blueberry look, and it's taking a different approach. It's like,
We can't all be straight.
yeah, I'm going to find the sun. My goodness. Again, watch the roots. So I was intentionally quiet, which you probably found welcoming. This is just a great spot. I mean, it's a little sulfur smelling today. And the other day when I was here, the tide was going out, and it was the day of the big moon, the big red, blue moon, whatever. The water was really high. I'd never seen it that high before here. And so, for example, the path was underwater, and the water was up under the bridge here, and I was just like, wow! That's high water. And it sounded like I was in the White Mountains because it was so loud when it was going out, It was just thundering over the rocks and stuff. Like here's like a little teeny dribble over there. You wouldn't have thought you were in the same place. The other reason I was quiet is this is just such a great spot. I mean, you walk out into a salt marsh, man. That is just so cool. And I will tell you, I revert to Bronx language. Since I don't know shit about a salt marsh, I had nothing to say. No, but seriously, you could see that some of the plants, like there's some very native plants. Obviously, the grasses are native to salt marsh, and then there were some very leathery leaf things on our left, and I do not know what they were. I looked at from Maryland to Maine, salt marsh plant ID websites, and I could not figure out even though it's a common thing.
Those things that are kind of slow growing.
Yeah, it's low growing right over there. There's a lot of it. It's right over by the bridge. Even. I don't know what it is. It's common. It flowers white a few weeks ago, and it's very leathery leaf. And you also see this goldenrod that shows up here, like this goldenrod up there, but it's different goldenrod. This goldenrod also has leathery leaves, and I think they're all adaptations to different, environments. It's much saltier here. It's windier. All kinds of stuff happens here that doesn't happen back there. And, you guys, I've only been here 20 years, but obviously this has all sorts of history. And then you can just see just a lot of cool stuff. I mean, you guys who live here know this. Mussels and snails, and there were cormorants here the other day. There's all sorts of stuff here. it's full of life. I mean, it's kind of, as we say, schmutzy water a lot. I don't want to offend anybody who lives here. It is a little dirty, kind of.
But that's because it's an estuary, right?
It could be. I could never figure out. Sometimes Warren has cleaner water one day to me and less clean water the next day. I don't really know. Whereas more like if you go down further out into the bay, it's usually more clean on a consistent basis. But I can't tell what that is. You got to definitely keep looking left here. And I don't know if there's been replanting programs of the salt marsh grass, or it's really pretty lovely. It's a lovely spot. I've gone shell collecting in past years with my kids, just not shell collecting, but somewhere ahead where the trail is right off the water. We'll look down there, and there's all kinds of oysters and all kinds of stuff. I'm not sure what the leathery leaves actually do. Yeah. And there's a hoof. So we got a hoof, right? Well, really, Scott? I've never seen a deer. But they trump through here.
See any deer? We have a lot of deer.
There were two.
Yeah.
For a while,
Yeah.
hanging around, and now they're gone. It's too big for a fox.
Yeah, it's definitely big for a fox.
I think a fox should see the claw.
Right, you would.
Oh.
And so they had me up in the northeast corner where it's very snowy, tracking. They had a hypothesis that they were following a data plan. And I swear this is true. So they asked me when they interviewed me for the job, even though I had a degree in forestry, and I did a lot of walking around and looking at stuff. They said, don't be mad at me, don't leave the walk when I say this. They said, have you ever tracked foxes? And I said, look, when I was growing up in the Bronx, man, at Fordham Road and Jerome Avenue, the women would come off the train, and they were like, no, just shut up. They had no humor, man, either. And I realized it's a stupid joke, but they didn't want to hear it. Trails are really amazing wildlife corridors. I mean, this is a great example. Then you have some really fresh little dug up little, I don't know what this is. Well, it looks like it.
Hello.
Look at that, it's a crab.
Oh, that's what. Oh, one's coming out. See it?
Yes.
Oh, he's got his head.
So we got crabs.
Oh.
So we got a little crab. And then we have, look at that.
Hey, buddy.
So, okay. And then you look at they dig up these little, I forget what that is. There you go.
Wow, so small.
It's so tiny. How cool is that? And just a beautiful spot. I mean, I don't know what kind of grass this is, but it's just beautiful. The other day it was windy, and here are the grass seeds. It was blowing back and forth. It was very lovely. And then you get greenbrier again. So this is just one of the great trees, I think, around here. It's, like I said, it has fruit. It has a beautiful twig pattern, very unusual, and then it has just spectacular leaves.
And you said it's a tupelo?
Yeah, Tupelo, also known as black gum.
Is that where Tupelo, Indiana's made now?
I believe it is. This is the same tree. And Tupelo honey. Though I don't know how you know where your honey came from, but Tupelo, there's a lot of, yeah, that's it. I know, I was incredulous. I learned this like 30 years ago, and I was like, this can't be the same tree that they named, in the South, and it's so, you hear the name, it's prominent, it's part of the lore and stuff,
Yeah.
and I was told, at least by my college educators, yes it is.
Do birds attack snakes?
Oh yeah, hawks do.
Hawks.
I don't know if other birds do like blue jays. A blue jay is a snake.
Yeah.
I've seen a blue jay, a little dark
A little
snake.
one, yeah.
I don't think in general like a robin that gets upset or another bird that gets gonna. I don't know, maybe so, but I definitely like a red-tailed hawk. A lot of birds, a lot of hawks.
They
eat
would totally
snakes.
eat
Oh,
it.
totally.
Yeah.
Any
Does it
mongoose
taste like
here?
chicken?
I was eating them the other day.
You have grapes, because I can smell them when I go down by
yeah.
you.
The
Yeah.
Concord grape fragrance is amazing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
People on the bike path
Yeah.
tell me
You swoon.
that whenever they walk by my house or ride by my
Yeah.
house, they just smell these
Yeah.
grapes. But it's a funny thing, I never knew it, but my bees are like going crazy on those grapes, sucking the juice and bringing it back. And I think they treat it like nectar,
Yeah.
you know?
Black oak. red oaks tend, well, it could be red. Red oaks tend to start looking like muscle on the trunk the further you go up. And you have some beautiful red maple foliage.
Is this all moss or
Lichen, yeah, real good lichen. But it's on the script was to stop at the fungi. Yeah. I must have skipped over this part, but oh, fallen log, decaying trees, and the fungi. Yeah. And then this is also one of my favorite spots in the preserve because of the view on the left. Because I gotta remember to see it. Like all of a sudden looking at stuff and then all of a sudden the river's wider. You know, there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's just very bucolic. Is that not a beautiful view? It's spectacular.
What's that truck?
I know, that's very interesting, isn't it? I have to look at my binoculars. It looks a lot like an olive, but on the other hand, I'd have to go up and touch it, feel it, but it looks almost like a pussy willow. Oh yeah, the thing on the left is completely different.
That's flowering, isn't it?
It looks like it has these big white, off-white flower head things going on.
Flowering, huh?
I have no idea what that is.
I
Yeah,
think it's a landscape plant.
it's really lovely. Nice. So pretty much a hairy woodpecker is a bird of the forest, and the kingfisher is, you know, so I'm basically, that's a kingfisher. I can tell the difference, but it's not that. And then the two butterflies rising to the heavens here. They just went into the clouds.
Is there any milkweed in here at all?
Yeah, we're
Is
coming
there?
after a lot of milkweed. In fact, you can see so some of the yellow, taller
Oh yeah.
stuff out there. That's milkweed.
So you get monarch too.
Yeah. I wrote it in my article today. I write about at the end or somewhere in the milkweed. So, someone is growing milkweed here on purpose because when we get further on into the next field, there's a lot of milkweed. We had to work during the 250 weekend celebration a couple of weeks ago, and then I was changing the homepage and doing social media, which can tell you why I want to be outside because I'm like I can't stand screens anymore. Anyway, my wife says you got to get out of here. I need to spend time with you, whatever. So she picks me up. My boss doesn't know this, so don't tell her, but at about 11 o'clock, and I had to be back at work at 3. My wife drives all the way down to Watch Hill. We go down to East Beach, I think it's called, and we just ran right into the ocean. We just dove in. It was really warm. It was almost 70-degree water. The air temperature was about 80 degrees. Dried off, and put my other clothes back on, and she dropped me back off at work before 3 o'clock. And it was a time where just in that 1 hour or so I saw several monarchs, and it just was a bit of hope. Well, 1 or 2 or 3, just a bit of hope that maybe they can rebound because it just plummeted. I looked this up in some government websites, which I trust, say that up to 98% loss.
Oh,
But they said
Monarch.
there were more. I've read several articles that said there are more this year than there have been in the last 3 years.
Monarchs.
That they are encouraged, that they are coming.
Oh, that is
back.
so
I
cool.
work down at Blythewald Gardens once a
Oh.
week, and we'd had 4 or 5 this week.
Yeah, cool. It's just such a great spot.
oh, look at that tree.
Which one?
Big one there. The way it like
Oh,
goes
yeah.
over, spreads out.
Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, you see the art and the landscape and the beauty. It's very nice. There's just so much stuff here. It's an oak. I believe it's a red oak. Pretty sure it's a red oak. And it's being eaten.
Okay. that's
Something is
why-
definitely eating it. I don't know what. And here's some more stouter. Here's a little stouter, a bit of a stouter sumac berry.
I wonder if they droop because they get cold. You know, like once it gets cold at night, they kind of lose their,
I don't know. Because usually they don't
structure or
droop.
something.
I'm pretty sure it's a feature of this
Yeah.
particular species in that, you know, if you have the staghorn sumacs, I'm almost positive, do not droop.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put this in my mouth just to see what this tastes like.
Get the lawyer ready.
Where's my lawyer? Okay. So it's pretty poor presentation. Some of them are just outright tart. That's outright kind of yucky. I don't know why,
Do you
but
think it's because the bark is so like, sort of, it has those little areas, it's textured, so maybe the fungus gets in there more?
yeah, maybe it could be. And then you know these are fruiting bodies. This is not really the fungus. The fungus, yeah, right. I feel like saying it among us. Yeah.
The mycelium underneath.
Exactly. So it's really in here. They're going back in here. I don't know if you read one of my stories a few weeks ago where I found glowing fungus. It was so cool. I didn't even know I found we didn't even know we found glowing fungus until we had thrown it. We chopped up a stump up in Rockport, Mass, and threw it in the garbage. And then someone said, "Hey, we should try and burn a piece of the stump." And we opened up the black garbage bag in the middle of the night. It was glowing.
What was it?
It was a honey fungus, honey mushroom. I took picture, sent it to a bioluminescence specialist. And he said, "Oh, that's honey mushroom." But it had been living inside, all this stuff had been living inside the stump and glowing, but we sort of opened it up and obviously killed it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think that's winged euonymus, actually. That is definitely, or it's euonymus of some sort. That is definitely a landscape plant escape.
Real more here.
Yeah, and obviously people would plant it for a reason, because it's beautiful. So we start getting hickories again. And just if you want to take a peek, this is hickory, so this is a hickory, this is another hickory, but this hickory is different. I can tell it's hickory by the leaf, but look at the bud. The bud is sort of green and fat and stout. It's definitely not sulfur and full of scales. And then you have black oak. This is just classic black oak, little black blocky bark. So you know you're up. You're rising up, and you get a stone wall out of it, and you get this poor sassafras, which is pretty big. And I say poor only because, you know, they're a sun plant, so he's getting a little trouble here, but this is what sassafras looks like when it starts to get large. It's pretty amazing. Sort of, I call it alligator bark, but I'm not really sure that's a good description. But there is a lot of sassafras here. I love this stuff. It's a little wet. Star moss. It's just so beautiful. When I was a city kid, you know, I grew up in the city, this was one of the first plants that just blew me away. When I got outside, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. This one is alive too. It's soft. And I remember laying down in it. So, you know, I still lay in it. Oh yeah, I think it is. You know, they have leaves in bundles of 5. Wow. Cool. I think it is. Yeah, it is a white pine. I mean, that's a good sign. You can just tell from the leatheriness of it. I mean, the featheriness of it. Wow. That's the first one I saw here. Well, like that, a seedling. There might be some coming up, bigger one. Definitely see cormorant here, but it's such a great spot to, you can hear the kingfisher. I mean, yeah, I think we'll keep moving, but obviously, you know, the place is a great spot to come back to and just stand there. It's a really good view of the water. And you're a little elevated. And as you know, we were talking about this earlier, some of us were talking about this earlier, crows and blue jays are hawk alarms. So it's always good when you hear a crow repeatedly cawing from the same spot. When you get there to take a peek and see, maybe it's bothered by a hawk. Or, well, more like the hawk is bothered by the crow. That is definitely, yeah. There you got, I don't really understand this. Maybe they're just the same plant. But you got one that looks like that and one that looks like that. And
So they're both poison ivy?
Yeah, they're both, well, all I know is that they're both poison something.
Oh.
Sumac?
No, I think sumac is still more of a shrub. Whenever I see this, I think of like I'm walking in Nevada or something, you know. But this is a whole new field. Again, I mean, obviously we're out in the open, but this is a warm field. The little zeet sound is a migrant sparrow that's whitethroats. So they're in now. Oh, that's a song sparrow. Oh, that's a song sparrow call. There's a lot of song sparrows in this field. It was a great field for birds. Cedar or juniper berries, I got them mixed up, but nonetheless, you could classify them in the juniper family, and you could put some in gin, and or that's how gin is made, I guess, some gin, or all gin. But they're very beautiful. They're very, if you chew on this, it's going to be like, it's very
Piney.
piney. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So you got, it's so low. This is one of the great low, and I could be wrong on my exact species, because Rhode Island has a bunch of oaks that they tease out. But you can just see oak. It's pretty cool.
They both have acorns?
Yeah, and then they're caps on the acorn sizes and the acorn caps are both different.
Uh-huh.
So that's definitely one of the ways to tell it. So yeah, here's those little ant volcanoes.
Strawberry?
Yeah, this field is full of strawberries on the ground, low growing. Yeah, this is a wonderful field. This is where I laid down, just so you want to know.
Oh,
So up ahead,
In the
I laid
ants?
down.
More wild asters.
Yeah, there's more asters. This is just a great field. It's warm, and it's got all kinds of stuff that you can find. I mean, here's some nice interesting grass, but the milkweed comes up too in a second. On the right, there's going to be a lot more milkweed, which is good for the monarch and for other species. And there are the crows.
oh my goodness.
There they are. Yeah, they're all flocking. Yeah. I know a lot of the crows that flock in the fall like the water edge where there's mud. I see them on the Seekonk River, for example, up where I live. When the tide goes out, the crows by the hundreds go down to the mud. I don't know what they're doing down there, but it looks like they're just picking out little bugs and...
Yeah, they are. They grab stuff in the mud and then I see them fly off with it.
Okay.
And then they go land in a tree while the other crows attack them.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all these guys.
This little tree here that's next to the dead... See, okay, so there are yellow-rumped warblers. I can hear them chipping. But this little tree last week had leaves on it, and it's a tupelo, and it was just a striking, stop you in your tracks red. Oh, look, yeah. I don't know, some sort of, I don't know,
Yellow flower.
some sort of yellow
It's a
flower.
yellow flower. No, those are
Nice.
nice. I
I
like
miss
those.
those. The people in the houses here are kind enough to serve us lunch today.
Short. It's awfully short. Mine is just tall.
It is short, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ours in our neighborhood is much taller. Oh my God, it's golfing.
Oh, it is. Female
For our first year. Do you have a goldfinch?
Immature or
It could be
Female.
first year young or female, yeah, and it's eating
yeah.
the seeds of some sort of plant like a knapweed.
Oh,
They usually love thistles. That's what they go for, right?
Yeah.
Thistles, their big thing.
oh, it's not yellow.
No, this time of year they're not yellow anymore. Here it is. It's sort of a potato chip call and an undulating flight.
Oh, there's the other one. There's a. So it was a pair.
There's a
called-
lot of birds in here.
Yeah.
It has to be a hickory.
Wild
this is a big
hickory
thing, it's a
nuts.
hickory of some sort. Yeah, so you can split them open. Oh, these are rotted.
They're very light in weight.
Yeah. You can look it up. You could look up wineberry. It's a very lovely vine, except it's gone berserk in places. If you go to Haffenreffer's, Brown University's Haffenreffer land in Bristol, down the road, down 136, and there's a trail that goes off the parking lot to the south, I guess, towards Roger Williams University. There's a ton of this. In summer, the fruit is covered in very tasty fruit. So at least gives you a little something. But it's just another example of something that got out and kept going. But there were nettles. Maybe they're coming up. And if anyone wants to experiment with the potency of a nettle,
No, thank you.
this is a good opportunity. Yeah, they do sting.
They sting.
Yeah, well, you have to touch it. This is just another good spot for birds. I've seen in the winter birds pop out and pop back in here. Leading Nature Walk for the first time. That would be back in 1910. I was shown this nettles, and someone said, you know, that would really hurt you. And I was like, funny. And I said, nah. So I grabbed the leaf, and I put my arm up against the stem where these little hairs are. Man. I had quite the nettle reaction.
So these little
The stems on, these little hairs.
that hang down.
Yeah, that's all you need. So it swelled, my wrist swelled, it turned all red. It was unbelievably uncomfortable. And it swelled up. And it looked like a really bad case of acne. It was very annoying. And then about 3 days later, it was gone. I was just like, okay.
Lesson learned.
Right.
This is interesting how the tree came up here, went down that way, and then
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. That is the red-bellied woodpecker. Fair-sized bird. And that's its call. But that is a cool trunk.
Yeah.
And then it goes again, yeah.
Wow.
And there's a yellow rump warbler. Or butterbutt. Chickadee. More maple. It has a different leaf with these veins. It has a different vein pattern, and it just shows you. I don't know what it's doing here. It's an ornamental. You'll see it in Providence here and there. Oh my, yes. Yeah, another weird root thing going here. This is definitely not one of my favorite trees, actually. Like the Norway maple, it just doesn't really offer. Birds don't eat its seed, it shades. But this is one of those spots, where you get a lot of these invasives again.
Oh, that has a cool root.
A what?
A cool root.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a Carolina ray.
we're back where we started.
More poison ivy on the right. More sycamore maple. And then the preserve's only black walnut. Right here. So the fruit is very good. And then he'd make a plate. He'd say, hey, want some of the black walnut? So this would be more like December, sort of a Christmas time kind of thing. But here they are, black walnut.
They look like strawberries. Oh.
Yeah, but be careful. I'm telling you, you get that stain on your hand, it's not coming off.
Is it black or green or?
It's black and green, yeah. But their fruit is very, if you collected these, dried them out, read how to do it, you dry them out, you crack them open, you can eat them. They're a little piney tasting, but
And they're nuts.
it's walnut.
Walnuts.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are really nice. I will tell people in Providence, but the people in Warren.
Yeah, don't say them. Yeah.
Don't tell them we're nice.
Are you, what? What did you say? I did? Oh, good. Oh, good.